and both are also individually done. Okay. Oh, I think Angel accidentally left the meeting. All right. Okay. All right. So today we'll be doing on something about communication climate, the foundation of personal relationship. All right. So when we look at the phrase itself, personal relationship, and also the pictures that the author is trying to imply over here. All right. We are not just focusing only on personal, like kind of intimate or romantic kind of relationship. So personal relationships can be in terms of having a very it can be intimate as well, but it's not sexually intimate. It's more of being very close, all right, to someone, as in you are being very close to your mom and dad, your siblings, maybe some of your relative. Maybe you have a favorite cousin that you like to hang out with. Maybe you have a good friend, all right, that you always spend your time a lot with them. You always tell them your problems or issues, all right, or maybe you have like a teacher of yours or a mentor of yours, a coach or something which is very close to you, that you would like to share problems and issues and you would like to ask for their opinion, right, and dealing with things that you are doing. Okay, so these are the foundation of personal relationship. All right, so in terms of communication climate, all right, it can be defined as when we have the overall feeling or we have the emotion, all right, emotional mood between people. So when you are having this kind of relationships, all right, it will always involve emotion or mood, all right, such as warm or cold, feeling safe or anxious, right, feeling comfortable or awkward, all right, accepting or rejecting, all right, open or guarded, right. So all of these emotion and mood are shaped by verbal and non-verbal interaction between people. So we know that by communicating with people, all right, we know that sometimes the way that we communicate to those who are we are very close with are quite different when we communicate to. I'm not going to say that you are communicating to a total stranger. Of course, that one will be, you will have a certain kind of distance or barriers. But for example, you are not going to be, for some of you, all right, you will be selective in terms of being close to your relative, for example, to your siblings, for example, or maybe between mom and dad, all right. One of them will be very close to you and another one, it doesn't mean that you are not close to them, but you are much more comfortable. Let's say if local cliche will say that a son will always be very close to his mom, and a daughter will always be very close to his father. It's the other way around. Or sometimes it can also be the other way around as well. Okay, so this kind of closeness, this kind of mood, emotional feeling are shaped by the way you communicate, verbal or non-verbal. All right, and also how you are being open or pouring yourself right towards that particular person. Okay, so these are some features of satisfying personal relationship. So when you are in a personal relationship, be it not just with your boyfriend or girlfriend, husband or wife, all right, be it when you have a personal relationship with your parents or siblings or your good friends, all right. So these are some of the features that you will experience, all right, that will determine whether you are having a satisfying or unsatisfying personal relationship. Okay, of course, number one, it will be in terms of investment. All right, so investment here can be defined as the contribution. All right, for example, you have time, energy, money, your emotion, all right, that you make to relationship without expecting to get them back if the relationship ends. So in the most satisfying relationship, everyone feels like the investment made by all involved are roughly equal, right? The most obvious and easiest way to describe this is when you are having intimate relationship with your husband or wife, or with your personal partners, girlfriend or boyfriend, something like that. All right. So you know that both of you are investing equally. All right. It's not just the partner. What you say in your term, payung lah. You know, something like the partner always giving you money, spending money with you, spending their time with you. They are always sacrificing things to you, all right, doing a lot of things with you because they want to. But then on the other hand, you are not feeling the same way, or you are not giving the same way as what he or she is doing. So this is an investment which is very unequal, all right. And then in terms of commitment, the personal choice that we make to keep a personal relationship alive in the future. So we know that when we talk about commitment, we know that we are being committed. We have a strong stand. We have a very strong kind of what you call that, a very strong foundation in that particular relationship that you want it to always sustain, all right, and always stay alive for the rest of your life, all right. So that is how much you are committed to your relationship. Right. So if you are investing and also being committed to relationship, doesn't mean that you will not have conflict at all. No. All right. So we know that in terms of relationship, sometimes okay, you might be having good moments, of course, but then you will be having some bad or unsatisfying or very unpleasant moment as well, like small fights or having things which are kind of irrelevant to you but relevant to your partner or to your good friends or to your mom and dad as well, right? And then trust you develop in relationship as the people involved do what they say they will do and support each other. So you know that everything that you are building in that or that you are having in that particular relationship is on the basis of being truthful to each other, all right? And self-disclosure, all right? The revelation of personal information about ourselves that others are unlikely to discover in other ways. Sorry. Very cold in here. All right. So you know that when you have a very good or satisfying personal relationship, you will always have this certain amount of self-disclosure. So sometimes to the extent that there will be no secret between you and also the one that you are having personal relationship with. All right. But again, personal relationship doesn't only applicable to having romantic relationship or intimate relationship or boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband and wife kind of relationship. Okay, it can also be in terms of having a good friend, all right, a very close friend that you can rely on. Okay, all right. Relational dialectics. All right, dialectics can be defined as a measure where you investigate or you discuss the truth of opinions. All right. So when we have relational dialectics or relationship kind of dialectics, right, we are investigating the opposing forces that are continuous and normal in relationship. So we know that, like I've mentioned before, in relationship there will not just be all flowery and kind of sweet kind of things always happening, right? There will always be certain kind of situation or certain kind of environment or certain kind of argument that you will have. All right, there will always be things that you are unsatisfied with. There will always be things that are opposing, right, to whatever it is that you desire as an individual, because we know that personal relationship doesn't only you yourself, because you are not going to have relationship with yourself, of course. It will involve another person, all right, interpersonally with another person. All right, so you know that not everything will be like 100% competent or can be complemented. All right. So how do you comfort yourself with relational dialectics? All right. How you gonna get yourself comfortable with the opposing forces that you are having in your relationship? Number one, you need to address your desire for independence. Okay, meaning that you need to have autonomy sometimes and also interdependence. But sometimes you also need to be connected. So this must be balanced. Sometimes you know that you need to be very independent, but sometimes you know that you need to be dependent, all right, to the person that you are having a relationship with or to your partner. All right. To make things easier, let me just refer to the other person as your partner, because usually we know that being committed or things like this usually going to involve a personal kind of relationship. Okay. So we need to address our desire for what is familiar or habitual, right? Meaning that we do things which are very predictable in our life. We know that every day we're going to have egg and toast for breakfast. We know that almost every day we're going to have rice for lunch. We know that almost every day we're going to come back at 5, all right, and go back and go to sleep at 10 a.m., all right? But sometimes you also need to be aware of things which are new or different, right? Novelty, meaning that something which is very new and very different. For example, before this, you are working shift, right? 8 to 5, 8 a.m., 5 p.m. Suddenly you have to change shift, let's say 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., for example. All right. So sometimes there will be this kind of situation where you will have to adapt to this shifting kind of environment. There will be tension. There will be a bit of argument, all right? but you need to know that you need to be comfortable, all right, with this relational dialectics. You need to be comfortable, and you need to know how to deal with these opposing forces. Okay. Number three, you need to address your desire for open communication, being open, right, and also private communication or privacy, your closeness, right. Sometimes, right, even in husband and wife kind of relationship, all right, some of you, because I'm not know whether you're married or not, like me, all right. So yesterday was my first anniversary. So sometimes you are being very open, all right. Your phone is my phone, all right. Your password is also my password, all right. I can look into your phone, you can look into my phone as well. Sometimes people didn't prefer that, they prefer to have privacy. Not to say that they are cheating with their partners or something like that, no. Sometimes they are having conversation which are very confidential with clients, with managers, with bosses, because sometimes when you go into the industry or you go into the working environment, all right, some information of the company, let's say financial reports, legal kind of reports or something like that will be very confidential, and it cannot be discussed, all right. It cannot be discussed beyond you and also your company, for example. So this kind of information, because we have phone nowadays, and sometimes you are having meeting online, they can be stored into your phone or your devices. And if you allow too much openness to your partner, let's say, they're gonna have the tendency to check over, not just to check over whether you are cheating or not, to check over all this kind of information, and then maybe they're gonna discuss it outside with their friends or something like that. So it will be quite unhealthy, all right. So for me, for example, some people they prefer to have two phones, all right. One for working purposes, another one is for personal purposes. So the one for working purposes will always be kept in the office, for example, our money will always be kept afar, all right, when you come back home, to avoid from your partner or to avoid from your kids, for example, to have a look at that kind of information which is very confidential. Okay. All right. What about you? May I ask your opinion whether you need to be open or be quite close to, let's say, if you're not having partner right now, in the future when you are having your partner, all right, is it important or is it crucial for you to check your partner's phone almost all the time? Anyone would like to share? Especially girls, I think.
I
Oh,
think no,
silence.
sir.
All right. And no, in
think
terms of
no,
what?
in terms of his privacy, because no matter how close we are, we have to respect each other's privacy. Like there are some things that they like he don't want to show it to us in this phone, like maybe something confidential or whatsoever. So as someone that he trusts, we should respect his privacy, unless he gave it to us and uh, like give us a chance to like you can um
Go through.
go to my phone or whatsoever like
All
that.
right. So you'll be happy to check when given permission to do so. Is it?
I don't know.
All right. Okay. Good response. Thank you. A response that I didn't expect, but it is actually a very good response. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. All right. Shall I continue? Okay. All right. So these are the table which summarize. All right. How you should be autonomous or how you should be connected. For example, I want to be close, or maybe I need my own space. All right. And sometimes, sorry. All right. Sometimes, all right, you like to do things which are very new. All right. You are quite bored of doing the same thing every day in your life. All right. In terms of predictability. So I like the familiar rhythm and routine of our relationship. Sometimes you are quite bored with all those common things that you are doing every day. We need to do something new and different. All right. I like sharing so much with you. There are some things that I don't want to talk about with you, for example. All right. We can always manage this tension, all right, by neutralizing them, right? Meaning that you are being like what our friend mentioned just now, okay? You do all the checking when you are allowed to do so, all right? Or maybe selecting one over another. For example, okay, if you think that you need your own space, all right, um, uh, uh, the other way around, okay, sometimes you also need to be open with your partners, okay, and then separating one from another into different aspect of our life. Sometimes in terms of work, you need to be a bit close. Sometimes in terms of relationship, you need to be very open. Sometimes in terms of routine, which is basic routines like what time you get up, what time you exercise, go to work, come back, all right, sleep and everything. It can be very predictable. It can be something which is very the same, almost the same thing that you do. But then sometimes you can also do things which is very new, right? Which can be very novel, something which is kind of unexpected every day. For example, let's say if you always have rice for lunch, this time around, maybe you're going to cook something else, for example. If your wife or your partner always prepare food for you for lunch, all right, let's say the pre-packed lunch for you to bring to your office. Maybe this time around, one or two times in a month, for example, you're going to take him out to have lunch outside in a very good restaurant, fancy restaurant kind of thing. All right. And reframing the tension by redefining what the tension means to us. For example, if you started off as being very kind of private kind of person, you don't like to expose much, you don't like to tell much, all right? So you need to redefine, all right, the tension that you are having by being private with your partner, okay? How do you do this? Maybe you're going to select, all right, what are the things that you can keep as private and what are the things that you can share with your partner, for example, right? So you redefine this kind of tension because sometimes your partner doesn't want to, conceal or doesn't want to keep everything to himself. He likes to share. Some people, they like to share issues, things happening in the office, things happening with their parents, something like that. They will always come back to you, always share their thoughts and feeling with you. All right, so you redefine this tension and try to pick up what are the things that can be shared or cannot be shared. Okay. All right, so how will you, again, like what I've mentioned just now, you neutralize the dialectical tension. All right, you negotiate a balance between two dialectical needs. All right, each need is met to an extent, but neither is fully satisfied. Or you can select by giving priority to one dialectical need and neglect the other. Maybe you want to prioritize privacy, but then you want to neglect, for example, routine. All right, the same thing that you do in your life. All right, separation by assigning one dialectical need to certain sphere or interaction and the opposing dialectical need to other aspect of interaction. So you separate between work and also private life. Work must be confidential, put it aside. Private life must be open with your partner, put it aside as well. Okay, and then you reframe. All right. Partners, they redefine contradictory needs as not in opposition. Okay, because we know that sometimes disagreements in our life added spice in relationship. All right, so you just go back to that particular situation and redefine whether it should be something that you have to be stressed about, or it can just be something that you put there is not much of attention, but can be discussed and also can be talked about over lunch or dinner or something. Okay. All right, level of confirmation and disconfirmation. Of course, in a relationship, you're going to know that sometimes you can have level of confirmation and also disconfirmation. Confirmation is feeling known and validated as an individual, especially right being validated by your partner. So we have three levels. Number one, recognition, meaning that your partner recognize that the other person exists. All right, only that. And then acknowledgement, which is the second level, meaning that he also doesn't only acknowledge that you exist, he or she also acknowledge of what other feels, think, or say. They also are aware of your feelings, all right, the things that you say. And endorsement involving another's feeling or thoughts, all right. They will also involve their feelings and also their thoughts in that particular relationship. So you are moving from just being known, all right, to being acknowledged, to being endorsed as well, all right. I know that I know you, I know how you feel. Right now, I want to share my feeling with you as well. Okay? And there are also confirming and disconfirming messages. If you are using confirming messages, you recognize that another person exists, you acknowledge that another person matters to you, and you endorse what you believe is true. But if you are being disconfirming, you will deny the person's existence, all right? Indicate the other person doesn't matter to you, and you will reject the other person's feeling or thoughts as well. Okay? All right. So these are some example of confirming and disconfirming messages. All right. Recognition, for example, you exist. Hello. All right. If you do not recognize, you don't exist. Nothing. All right. You acknowledge. You matter to me. We have a relationship. I'm sorry you're hurt. If you didn't acknowledge, you don't matter to me. We are not a team. You get over it. Okay. Tak apa nanti. Okay lah tu. You get over it. All right. And endorsement. What you think is true, all right? What you feel is okay. I feel the same way. Or maybe if you didn't endorse, right, you are wrong. You shouldn't feel what you do. Your feeling doesn't make sense, all right? So you know that this confirming always indicate a relationship which is kind of negative, and confirming always indicate a very kind of healthy and also positive relationship. Okay, all right. So how do you create supportive and defensive relational climax? The type of communication, okay, that you apply in your life that will indicate whether you are creating a supportive or a, oh sorry, this is a typo, or a defensive, okay, defensive relational climax, right? Number one, of course, evaluation versus description, right? So you create supportive climax when you describe behaviors and others, right? But then when you create defensive climax, you try to judge or evaluate others, meaning that, okay, you when you describe other behaviors, right, you are just trying to get to know or trying to understand, right, how they behave and how do you perceive them as well. But then when you are creating a defensive kind of climate in that relationship, actually you are judging or you are evaluating or you are putting them as a certain level that you think this part of level is good, this particular level is not that good. Okay, and then certainty versus provisionalism, right? Provisionalism here means that you feel that you are correct, okay, but still you are willing to listen to other person. All right, so you will create supportive climate when you communicate openness to a variety of point of view, such as provisionalism. All right, you are being open, although you know that sometimes your opinion is quite positive or quite correct actually, but then you acknowledge the other person's opinion and also whatever it is that they are trying to say to you. All right, but when you are creating a defensive climate, right, you will use language that indicate that there is only one way to view situation. All right, it is your way. All right, you are being very certain that you are right. Okay, strategy versus spontaneity. You create supportive climate when your communication feels open, okay, honest and spontaneous, right? These things are not planned. It comes straight away from you, okay? But then you create defensive climate when your communication feels manipulative, premeditated or planned, and also very strategic, because you know that you already have this particular plan. You already have things that you want to say, things that you want to do, and you do not like this plan to be distant, all right? So there's no honesty or spontaneity happening over there. It doesn't come from you at that moment. It was already planned before that. Okay. Control versus problem orientation. You create supportive climate when you use communication to find ways of satisfying everyone. All right. You know that if there is a problem happening, you need to address the problem and also try to get everyone's output and also get everyone's satisfaction. But then you will create defensive climate when you try to control, right, triumph over or manipulate others, right, what they think and what they do, because you know whatever it is, the outcome must be something which also, how to say this, which is most of the time will come back to whatever it is that you want. All right. Neutrality versus empathy. So you create supportive climate when you demonstrate empathy. You show care about the other person. But then you will create defensive climate when you act in a neutral, detached, or indifferent kind of way. Or in other words, you feel nothing. Or you want to play safe. Or maybe you doesn't like to, some people, they don't like to cater other people's emotion. They don't like to go, what's happening? Are you okay? How are you feeling? All right. You want me to take you to the clinic? Some people, they just, are you okay? I'm going to call the doctor to come and check on you. All right. Bye. Something like that. All right. Okay. Superiority versus equality. So you create supportive climax when you use communication to indicate that all parties are equal, all right? But then you will create defensive climate when you use certain type of communication to indicate that one person is superior to another, right? So in a very kind of healthy and positive relationship, you will take that particular situation or that particular relationship as being equal, right? Sometimes, all right, you will exercise superiority, especially in our local Eastern kind of culture. Usually, the one that will make decision is the husband, for example, or the man, for example, all right? Whatever it is that they are saying, the wife or the woman need to follow them. But sometimes, if you exercise equality, right, whatever it is that you are trying to decide, you will always ask your partner for opinion, all right, or you will always take your opinion and also compare your opinion with your partner's opinion as well. Okay. All right. So these are the tables showing communication climate, this confirming and also confirming communication. All right. And of course, in social media, we also need to know that climate matters in social media. Sometimes, right, you need to be very honest, spontaneous, right? You do not control, you do not be manipulative, because whatever it is being communicated face to face can also be interpreted online, although it is not verbally spoken, but sometimes we are doing it online, verbally like this as well. Still, the message is being delivered, all right, will determine the climate that you are using, all right? Security of our disclosure via social media, all right? How much is it secure, or is it safe for you to share important information, or just simple things like sharing your feelings, all right, via social media, all right? Not everyone will be happy with our happiness, for example, and not everyone will be sad with our sadness, all right? It can be the other way around, all right? And of course, you will have uncertain acknowledgement, because in social media, for example, Facebook posting, Twitter posting, Instagram posting, all right, whatever it is that they are saying, we are only depending on the written message. We cannot see their verbal or non-verbal cues. We cannot see their expression. We cannot see if whether they are making faces, where they are putting their hands like this or something like that. So there will always be uncertainty in terms of acknowledgement. And it will also reduce ability to interpret messages. Again, because we cannot see the verbal cues, non-verbal cues, expression, hand gesture, and everything, so we cannot interpret the message in a very accurate and 100% kind of manner. All right, so how would you create and sustain healthy climates? Number one, you need to be actively using communication to build confirming climate. Always communicate with your partner or with the person that you are very close with, right? And accept and confirm others, right? Accept and confirm here means that do not always reject, or do not always feel that you are the one, your opinion is the one, this is the only opinion that matters, right? Try to accept other people's opinion and thoughts as well. Affirm and assert, all right? You state what you need, feel, or want without putting yourself above or below others, all right, in a relationship. Right, so do not like put everything only based on whatever it is that you want, right? Try to put yourself, you know that you need something, you feel something, and you want something, but do not put those things, all right, above other people's as well. Try to make it equal, okay? So you know that based on this one, okay, based on the table 8.4, all right, you're gonna practice aggression, okay, meaning that you are being forceful, all right? We're going to spend time together. Tell me what you're feeling. I insist. I don't care what you want. I'm not going to a movie. Or you're gonna practice assertion, right? Meaning that you are just declaring. You're not forcing, but you declare things that you want to do. I like for us to spend time more. I like for us to spend more time together. I would like to understand more about how you feel. I'm really not up for a movie tonight. And maybe you can practice deference, right? Meaning that you are politely submitting or politely being respectful to your partner. It's okay with me if you don't spend time with each other. Or maybe if you don't want to talk about how you feel, it's okay. It's fine by me to go for a movie if you want to. Okay? And respect diversity in relationship, of course, and respond constructively to criticism. All right. So you need to seek for more information. All right. So consider the validity of the criticism. Just do not just criticize and criticize and criticize. Make sure that you know that your criticism is based on research that you have done, or based on situation that you think will not only satisfy you but also your partners, right? If it is valid, consider what you want to change and thank the person who offered constructive criticism, right? Do not think criticism as something being bad, right? Sometimes criticism can also help you to build up positivity or build up the state of quality in your relationship. Okay. All right. Any question? Any question on today's topic? Yet again, I would like to insist that this is not only applicable to personal, intimate, romantic kind of relationship, right? It doesn't only involve husband and wife, girlfriend or boyfriend. This is this is also a spectrum of personal relationship involving you and your parents, you and your siblings, you and your relative, you and your good friend, you and your mentor, the teacher which is very close to you, coaches who are very close to you. So the climate of personal relationship thus lingers around that kind of relationship as well. Okay, question?
Sir, can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes, clearly.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
What's the examples of opposing forces among friends? Can it be negative and positive?
All right.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Okay. So in some terms, all right, opposing forces among friends can be in terms of, I would like to put this as, for example, I'm sorry, but I think most of the time, girlfriends will always experience this kind of feeling, whereby they always have the perception of if their close friend are going out with other friends or doing assignment, for example, with other friends, all right, suddenly she wanted a change and involve in another group. All right, sometimes the group will always involve you as well. She will bring you. Sometimes she will not bring you. Not to say that she will not bring you. Sometimes the groups are, let's say your lecturer has already come up with that particular assignment group, and unfortunately you and your good friend are not together. All right, so you will feel intimidated as if the tension is occurring over there, as if your friend are leaving you, for example, as if you cannot do things with your friend together, as if your friend will get new friends, all right, and will not gonna stay away from you, but will be spending time with other people as well, right? But then sometimes, okay, in a positive way, it is very good to have a new environment. Okay, you want to avoid. What you call that, having routines in your life. Okay, sometimes you want to have novelty, sometimes you need to feel a new environment as well, right? When we are talking about friendship over here, right? Okay, we are not talking about romantic kind of relationship, right? We are talking about friendship. Sometimes it is very good for you to have another perspective, and we also know that having many hats are always good than having only one or two hats. So um, rather than just you and your good friend over here, you can always be good and also be close to other friends as well. And in a way, you can also bring them together as a big group where you can always communicate, and it will always be interpersonal because it doesn't only involve two person. All right, in a group, you can always be interpersonal with you and also certain members of the group as well. Okay. All right. So in a positive way, it will bring everyone together, but in a negative way, right, it will cause you to feel a negative kind of emotion such as jealousy, intimidation, feeling that you are being left out, feeling that your friends doesn't be with you anymore. Okay. It is quite different from guys actually, from my observation. All right, this is just my personal opinion. Whereas guys, they are always try to be easygoing. All right, they will try not to be attached to only one person, but in the end they will always come back to this particular person for example, to get help, or maybe so he know that this one particular person is the one that he can rely to always, whatever happen, tayar pancit ke, kereta rosak, whatsoever. But the circle of friends will always increase because they will socialize in terms of playing sports, for example, playing online games, for example, doing assignments, for example, or even just hanging out at mama stalls or restaurants, for example. Okay, am I answering your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Right? So I'm not trying to be sexist over here. I'm not going to say that boys are better in terms of relationship, but these are some of the nature that male and also female experience. But sometimes some female might not have this kind of nature. Some male might also have this kind of nature. It depends, actually. Okay. All right. I'm gonna explain to you on your assignment. Okay. Sorry. All right. I'm gonna explain to you on your second assignment. All right. Okay. All right. All right. View. Okay. This is big enough. All right, so your second assignment will be a case study assignment, all right, which will be a written assignment, all right. So this one will carry 30% of your ongoing mark, all right. So it requires you to propose suitable communication technique to resolve conflict in professional setting. So, all right, I'm gonna go straight away into this. So instruction, analyze question provided by using suitable communication techniques or guidelines, and please take note any form of plagiarism will be penalized, and submission will be the 1st of January 2022. So today is already 13, all right, so this one will be done within 2 weeks time as well, all right. Submission of first assignment will be on the 18th midnight, which is end of this week, all right, and submission of your second assignment will be on the end. All right, the end of January, the first day of January 2022. So it will also take you 2 weeks to complete this particular assignment. All right. So the question is, okay, read the following 10 statements aloud to, again, typo, to an individual. I should have put aside this one, sorry. All right, I'm gonna upload a new one later, okay? Read the following 10 statements aloud to an, aloud here doesn't mean that you have to shout, just read it to an individual, all right? This individual could be your parents, all right? But I only require one individual, okay? It can be either your mom or dad, all right? One of your sibling, one of your relative, one of your friend, one of your classmate, or even a total stranger, it's up to you. All right, so ask this individual to determine if each statement contains language that is racist, such as one race is best, or the standard, or sexist, such as one sex is better, or the standard. So ask the individual to propose an alternative for any sentences you consider sexist or racist in their current form. So there are 10 sentences in here, all right? For example, I now pronounce you man and wife. Some might say this is sexist, for example, all right? Because the man is pronounced as man, but the wife is not pronounced as woman. Right? Why don't you pronounce it as husband and wife? Why should it be man and wife? Why shouldn't it be man and woman, for example? So ask for their opinion. Do you think this is sexist or racist? Right? So their opinion can be, yes, it is sexist. No, it is not sexist. All right? And ask them why. Why do you think this is sexist? Okay? And if they say this is not sexist, why do you think this is not sexist? Okay, and ask their opinion of what kind of phrase should be put in here, or what kind of sentence should be put in here, or what kind of word should be used to replace the word that you think is sexist or racist. All right, so you have 10 statements. So I think it is best for you to ask maybe your parents, maybe your classmate, maybe your sibling, all right, those who are willing, all right, because this will be an, in a way it's an interview, but you will not be recording it audioly or in terms of video or audio recording. No, you will just have their response and you will report back their response in form of an essay. And usually the essay will not take 300 or 350 words. All right, so be precise in the responses. All right, but I do know that sometimes you're gonna exceed over 350, right? Please do not go beyond 500, for example, if you are writing. Okay, so describe the 10 sentences, read the 10 sentences to them, all right? Ask them, all right, do you think this is sexist or racist? If yes, why? If no, why? All right, and ask them to provide an alternative, all right, to replace this particular sentence. If, let's say, they say, this is not sexist, this is normal to me, ask them whether you have other alternative to replace this sentence as well. All right. So in your opinion, okay, what are the other words that we can use to replace this sentence, or what are the other words that we can use to replace man or wife in this particular sentence? Okay. All right. For example, my friend Yamamoto is from Japan, but he acts like a regular guy. So should a Japanese be like a Japanese, for example, always bowing down, always say things, cannot always say things in and using R kind of pronunciation, or maybe always be very neat, always be very polite, always be on time, for example. All right. So maybe this will indicate racism in this particular sentences, and how you should replace this particular sentence into something which is acceptable or not racist, for example. Okay. Any question on this one? We have 2 questions. Okay. Any question on this one? Somebody posted a question. Sorry. Oh, okay. Already done this one. All right, Rachel, please.
Afternoon, sir.
Hi,
Can you hear me?
Rachel. Yes, clearly.
Okay, sir. So can we do like for example the first question,
Mhm.
we write down the first question and then we the person who respond to our question, right? We just follow it like the first question, then the response, the answers, and then followed by second question. Is it possible that we could do it in that way?
All right. So you want to put it like one paragraph, response. Second paragraph, um,
No, sir. I mean, like, let's say the first question, I
okay,
now pronounce you man and wife. Then
okay.
we write immediately the response after the question. So what they say, why do they say, whether is it sexism or racism, and then like they
Mm.
follow everything like that. Is it
All
okay,
right.
sir, if we do like that?
Okay. All right. That will be much more organized. All right. You can do that in that way.
Okay, sir. So
All right.
which
Okay.
means that we don't have to write in an essay form, right? We can write it in a
It is
paragraph like that.
paragraph. Yes, paragraph, but not in point form.
Okay, sir.
All right. Okay. Maybe
Thank
one
you, sir.
paragraph is about question 1. Second paragraph is about question 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right. So you don't have to write it in terms of, you don't have to put introduction and then conclusion, something like that. No. Just the responses. All right. The alternative, the responses. Why do they respond in that way, and the alternative that they would like to suggest. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay. All right, I'm going to move to the second question. So the first question is 20 marks. All right. Second question, okay. Managing conflict in relationship with the same individual. All right. But then this is quite optional. If let's say it will be easier for you to just attach to the same individual. But if let's say that your mom is already exhausted to deal with you, so you want your dad to come in to replace her place, then it will also be acceptable. I don't mind. Okay. It can be the same individual. It can also be a different individual. All right. So ask him or her to describe a recent conflicting situation that they have encountered at their workplace or while working, okay, or maybe at university if you are talking to your friend, or maybe in class, or maybe at school if you are talking to your little brother or little sisters, or maybe at home. So it can be different situation. Right? So you do not have to explain, all right, one situation about work, one situation about university. No, you choose only one. All right. So depends on the individual that you are interviewing. If it is your parents, right, it can be at their workplace, or maybe it can be at home. If it is your siblings, right, if they are working, can be at their workplace. If they are studying, can be at university. If they are still school students, it can be in class, it can be at school, depending on the individual and also the environment that they are dealing with, right? How was the conflict resolved? Ask them to describe a recent conflicting situation that they experienced, all right? And ask them how was the conflict resolved, all right? And based on the response, you need to suggest some possible ways that the conflict could have been resolved using the responses to conflict. So we have A, B, C, D, all right? Exit response, neglect response, loyalty response, and also voice response, all right? So from your perspective, which is the best response that could have been used in that situation? All right, because this is chapter 9, so I think you will not be doing this yet. You can start off with the previous one first, okay? You can start off with this one first, all right? This one will be given to you. This one will be lectured to you next week. All right, but then this is quite easy actually, all the 4 responses, all right? So based on their environment, based on the experience that they have told you, all right, ask them how was the conflict resolved, And based on the responses, you yourself, this time, you yourself will need to suggest, all right, some possible ways that the conflict could have been resolved using these responses to conflict. Okay, use exit response, all right, how it should be resolved. Use neglect response, how it should be resolved. Use loyalty response, how it should be resolved, and use voice response, how it should be resolved. So you need to identify, all right, the resolution to the conflict based on these 4 responses. All right, these responses will be explained to you next week in our next lecture session. All right, so from that situation, using exit response, this is what he should do. Using neglect response, this is what he should do. Using loyalty response, this is what he should do. Using voice response, this is what he should do. Okay? All right. And then from your perspective, which is the best response that could have been used in their situation and why? And then going back to the situation, all right, which of these 4 response should be used in their situation? Choose only one and explain to me why. All right, why do these responses is very suitable, right, to resolve the conflict that they have experienced before. Okay, again, all right, this particular part will be based on interview and also will be based on your perspective as well. And it will be in written form, just like the question that we're going to have before that one. Okay, all right, any question regarding to this particular part, part B?
So is there any like word limit to it?
All right, again, we always to emphasize only 300 to 350 kind of word limit, but sometimes you will always exceed them. So please do not go beyond 500. Okay, 300 is very good. 350 is quite good as well. 500 is still acceptable. Beyond that will be very exhausting. Okay. All right, any more question?
So I have a question.
Yes, please.
From your perspective, which is the best response that could have been used in their situation and why, right? So that question. So
Okay.
it means that we don't have to explain every single exit response, neglect responses, all that, right? We only choose one, is it?
Okay. You interview them, they tell them the conflicting situation, they will tell you how they resolve the situation, and then you analyze the situation, all right, based on the responses, all right, as a response kind of perspective, how it should be done. Neglect response, how it should be done. Loyalty response, how it should be done. Voice response, how it should be done. And then based on your opinion and perspective, which one is the best and why? All right? Which one is the best and why it can be applicable to that particular situation. Okay?
So,
All right.
which
Yes.
means that I can interview them like maybe today or like this week, and then like next week, we can do the second part, right?
Oh, okay. You can start off. Yes. You can start off by asking them the conflicted situation that they experience and also how they resolve that one. You can stop at that first. All right. And then next week you can continue by suggesting, all right, the responses by explaining the responses that they can use in their situation, and then suggesting which one is very good, applicable to their situation. You can do that as well.
Okay, so thank you.
All right, most welcome. Okay, so for this particular part, all right, I have already embedded a slot here in your eCampus. Oh, not this one, this one. All right, not this one. Which one? This one. Okay. Have I not put it in here yet? Okay, sorry. Sorry. Okay. All right, all of your assignments will be submitted in L1, of course. Okay. Oh, sorry. Your assignment should be submitted into your T1 or T2 eCampuses only. Sorry. Okay. Including first assignment, right, and also this particular second assignment as well. So submission will be in T1 and T2. All right. So for the first assignment, all right, it will be submitted here. Okay. Which is this week, which is end of this week. Oh, sorry, here. Okay. No, not one. This one. Here. All right. And then for the second assignment, it will be, all right, in 2 weeks' time on the 1st of January 2022 in week 11. The column is already embedded in week 11 So submission will be in here. So you will have a 2-week gap to complete your assignment. Okay. All right. Any more question?
Hi, sir.
Yes, hi.
Okay. Sorry, I would like to ask about regarding the form of case study. We can
Okay.
make like the introduction and the conclusion, right? Or we need just to answer the question in form of paragraph.
All right. You can also come up with an intro and conclusion, right? But I'm always open if you just want to go straight away into the paragraph, all right, of telling us or of explaining, all right, why would they think this is by explaining that, okay, I've interviewed my mom, all right, for example, my mom, Hajah Sabaria Muhammad Hajah, for example, from her opinion, okay, from her perspective, all right, and the sentence number one, which is I now pronounce you man and wife, is sexist. Right? This is because she thinks that this particular sentence put more emphasis on men rather than women. Right? That's why the man is mentioned over here, but then the woman is not mentioned as woman, but only mentioned as wife. So my suggestion, her suggestion, sorry, would be to change man into husband or change wife into woman. That's it. That's all. Okay.
All right,
Am
got
I
it, sir. Thank
answering?
you,
All
sir.
right. Okay. You're most welcome. So maybe your introduction will just be like, okay, based on the interview conducted with my friend or my father or my sibling, my sister or my brother, or maybe based on an interview done with a total stranger selling ayam gunting on the roadside, which is Ali, for example. Anything. All right. It can be any individual. All right. You can start
Sir.
out. Yes.
So I thought that I would like to make like the introduction is regarding the assignment, okay, and
Mm-hmm.
then I will go straight to the second paragraph regarding the
Mm-hmm.
question that I would like to ask for the
Okay.
interviewer and the questioner, and then the third paragraph regarding all the answers from the interviewer, and then we move to another paragraph for the second question. Is it good? Oh,
You can do that as well. Right.
okay.
But it will be a bit like scattered all over, you know?
Oh yeah, okay, I
All
get it.
right, okay. So I think it will be better if you put one response, okay? Question one response. All right, one suggestion. Question one, okay, sexist or racist? Yes or no? Why? Suggestion. Question two, sexist or racist? Yes or no? Why yes? Why no? Why sexist? Why racist? For example, and then suggestion or alternative. And then question three. That particular structure is much more organized and easier for me to look for points. Okay?
All right, sir. Got it.
All
Thank you,
right.
sir.
Okay, most welcome.
Sir, I want
Yes.
to ask.
Okay.
So the total of the question one and two
Okay.
is 300 to 350 words. The total.
I think
Oh,
it's not total. I think question one could be 300, question two could be 300 as well.
okay.
Right? Because this is not like I'm just giving you a title. Okay, sexist or racist, please discuss. Then you will like to think of or what to do, what point to put, which part of the book should I refer to. This is more of, okay, these are the questions. What are the responses? Sexist or racist? Why is it sexist? Why is it racist? And then alternative. Then question number two. So it is a guided kind of essay, you know? All right. So it will not be like you have to think of everything on your own. It will be based on the responses that you have. Okay. So it might sound like, oh my God, one essay 300, the second one 300, already 600. They will be taking a lot of my time. No, because this is not like a descriptive essay. Explain a situation whereby it is very sexy. Then you have to think of the point. That one will be quite hectic for you to done. But this one is more of a guided kind of essay. You already have the things that you need to ask. You already have the things, the responses that you are expecting. Same goes to question two. You already have the things that you need to ask. All right, you already have the point that you need to discuss, and you will already have the suggestion that you would like to suggest to me. All right, which one is the best responses in dealing with the conflict? Okay.
Okay. So another
Yes.
question.
Yes, please.
Another question is, can
Okay.
we like interview several people, and then
Okay.
in the case study we only describe one person, right?
Can
Oh,
you interview several people, but then in the assignment you only describe one person?
yeah.
Like that.
Or we need to describe every responses from different people.
Okay. The reason why I said it should be, I mean, it's not gonna should be. It's either you have question one person, question two, another person is still acceptable because you can see that question one have 10 parts in it, 10 kind of phrases. So are you thinking of asking one phrase, one person, second phrase, another person? Is it like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
then-
Sorry, sir.
Okay.
I think uh, actually what I mean is
Okay.
should I interview like five, for example, like five people, and then in the case study we only describe about the responses of one individual or all the five people.
Oh, okay. No need. You don't have to do that one. All right. So this is more of one person, one question. The second person, the next question, which is part two. This one, sorry. Okay, so you can do it like this. Okay. For this part, okay, let's say your brother. The second part, your sister. You can do that one. Or for two parts, okay, this part and also the second part, your brother. You can do that one. All right. It will be very hectic. All right. If you have 5% and then you just describe the responses. Because this assignment is about having individual perspective. Okay, so I don't want to have like 10 people doing 10 perspective over here. So one person, okay, all right, one person on these 10 phrases, okay, another person can be on chapter 9, managing conflict. And that one is acceptable. Or maybe the same person for both questions, that one is acceptable. So saying that maximum will be only 2%, one for part A, another one for part B. All right, just to, I don't want you to spend too much time trying to get people to reach you or trying to get contact to many first person. It's better for you to get, okay, I'm interviewing you for my assignment, right? Can you spend like 10 to 15 minutes of time with me? Okay, sure, why not? That will be much more, convenient, right? Because you are dealing with times and you have a lot of assignments that you need to do as well at the end of the semester. Okay? All right?
Okay, noted, sir. Thank you.
All right. Okay, most welcome. Rachel got questions just now? Rachel?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So,
Rachel.
since the second question is like 250 words only, so like should we like have an introduction and a conclusion,
Yes,
or
of
like
course you
go
can have.
straight to the point?
You can have an introduction by just introducing the person that you are interviewing.
How about the conclusion, sir? So like what shall we include in the conclusion for both questions?
All right. When you are concluding, for example, for this question, you are just concluding the best response that you think which is applicable and you explain why. And maybe you can say that in the future, if this particular person have to face this situation again, this is what I would like to suggest to him. That's it. Very simple and straightforward.
Okay, so then how about the question one, sir? Like how about the conclusion for question one?
All right. Maybe for question one, based on the responses from this particular from my dad, for example, okay, you can say that some of the from his perspective, right, some of the sentences are not that racist or not that sexist at all, right? Because all of these sentences, some of them are not familiar in our culture. Okay, for example, and let's say this one, I can't believe Anne kept her name when she's married. If let's say when we are talking about the Malay culture, this is something which is unusual because we do not shift names. We do not shift family names, for example. So if you are talking about other culture, for example, if you are talking about Western culture, they will think that this is quite unusual when you are not taking your husband's name, right? Okay, so you can conclude by saying that these are very general, not only applicable to our culture, but also applicable to the Western culture as well, something like that. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right, most welcome. But don't worry, intro and conclusion will not have marks actually. So that's why I only try to emphasize on the points that you are providing. Okay, it's just for the sake of you having a flow in your essay. Okay?
Sir,
Yes, please.
can I ask about part B when
Part B, okay?
so we are going to interview them and ask the person we interview for their response.
Okay, yes.
Then we analyze their response and we will explain if the response is exit response, a neglect response, a royalty response, a voice response. Finally, we will only say which one is the best. Is it?
Yes. Okay. So from their situation, you explain from the perspective of exit response, neglect response, loyalty response, and voice response.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
then you suggest which one is the best and why.
All right, sure.
It's not that you have to go back to them. Hey, little brother, this is what you should do. You don't have to do that. You just have to
So-
report your suggestion.
So we asked them about like a conflict they had and how they
Yes.
responded.
All right, how they respond or how do they handle the conflict.
Oh, so this
Alright,
part will be
yes.
more like the introduction, like we describe the situation with them and how they responded. Then
Yes,
first
yes.
paragraph. Ah, okay, okay. Thank
And
you,
first
sir.
paragraph based on exit, maybe you can do that way.
Mhm.
Right. I mean, and the second paragraph, negative response, third paragraph, loyalty, and fourth paragraph, voice, for example, you can do that because the people that you are interviewing, they don't know about exit response or neglect response or loyalty or voice. So they will just tell you their experience and how do they handle the situation. And you yourself will analyze based on these four responses and you will suggest which one is the best and you will justify why this is the best, why loyalty is the best for you in that particular situation.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
And congratulations to you and your wife on first anniversary.
thank
Happy
you.
life, sir.
Happy wife, happy life, they say.
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Any more question?
No, no, sir.
All right.
Good for
Okay.
now.
Good for now. All right. If you do have question, please do. All right. Okay. I would like to also explain again about assignment 1, right? Because some of your friends did ask me, okay, they got confused whether they need to describe their room or their workstation or their office. All right. These things, they are artifact to describe the things which is an artifact to them, right? So basically, why did I mention your workstation, your room, or your office? Because most of the time, or usually, the artifacts will be there. The artifacts will be displayed. The artifacts will be something that you always bring. The artifact will be something that you really treasure. Okay, so if let's say one particular person is said to me that okay, my room is pink in color, so it represents my characteristic of being very cheerful, feminine, and things like that. And then I have a green. I'm not going to say that color scheme plays an important role as your artifact. So you need to choose, right? Because all of us, we must have something that we treasure, that we not just treasure, something that we like. For example, but do not say mobile phone lah, of course. Okay. For example, you like this particular pants, so you will always be wearing that one. So there's a reason for that. All right. For example, you like to wear watches. All right. Doesn't have to be only one watch. All right. Although you have a few collection of watches, this one particular watch is something that you treasure the most, or you would like to wear all the time, for example. Or maybe you have a few glasses, right? But this one particular design is something that you really like, and why? Or maybe the unusual one, for example, you have an action figure or diorama of what Godzilla, Ultraman, or something. So you think this is your lucky charm because you really like the animation. So you would like to have it when you decorate your room, or maybe when you decorate your office in the future, or maybe because you like football so much, all right. So you will have decoration of football teams. For example, you're gonna have posters, you're gonna have jerseys, all right, or you're gonna have a replica of football, for example. So these are the artifacts that resemble not just your interests, but also who you are as a person. Okay, not the working environment, not the working space, not the office, not your room, right? but the thing, the artifact, right? That is a resemblance of what it is that you really treasure, or the memory behind the artifact, or the good memories or the good things, or the conveniency that you experience with that particular artifacts. Okay. All right. So I guess that's all for today. All right. So thank you for joining this session. Okay. If you got any more question regarding to assignment 1 and also assignment 2, please do not hesitate to ask. And again, please remember assignment 2 will be submitted. Assignment 1 will be submitted end of this week in form of YouTube link. Okay, YouTube link. And assignment 2 will be submitted on the 1st of January midnight, all right, in form of let's say in the PDF version. I would prefer PDF version. Attachment of PDF version on your respective e-campuses. So T1, submit your presentation and assignment 2 in T1. T2, submit your YouTube link presentation and also assignment 2 in T2. Okay? All right, so I guess that's all for today. Thank you for joining. So I'll see you again next week. And please do not hesitate if you have any more questions to ask. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum and have a very nice day, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you,
Sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Most welcome. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right, most welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
All right, most welcome. Bye-bye. Alia Masyara. Hi, Dana. Let's just wait for Alia Masyara to...
Hi, sir. Sure, no problem.
Alia, hello? Alia, I would like to ask for your cooperation to leave the session because I'm having discussion with Rudaina. Oh, Alia. Alia ni buka saja ni, Alia. Wait, Reina.
I think she may be AFK. Sir.
Pardon? AFK?
Yeah, away from keyboard.
Away from?
Keyboard. It's like the person's not there with the device.
Not there. Okay, this is like talk to you later, TTFY something.
Yeah, something like that.
Are you outside? I mean, are you convenient to talk? Okay ke? Then boleh cakap ke?
Boleh je, sir.
Bunyi berangin tu?
Hah?
Bunyi berangin tu?
berangin. Bunyi
Ah.
berangin, bunyi kipas sekejap, sir.
Oh,
Mana?
takut tengah online kat pantai ke?
Tak ada lah, sir. Dah okey dah, sir.
Okey dah. Alah, Alia ni pun gimana lah.
Saya pun tak tahu.
Sekejap, can I create another link? Boleh?
Boleh je. Tak pun sir and call ni, sir and Google Meet ni and then Alia akan live sendirilah.
Oh, gitu betul juga
Ha.
Sekejap
Dia ada
Saya masuk balik. Okay.
Okay.
Ada juga.